Hi, it's me, and I'm here to show you how I made my. This is. It's. Hi, it's me, and I'm gonna show you how I produced slash made slash played instead my single. The one that hasn't come out when I'm recording this, but will be out when you're seeing this. Let's get straight into it. Okay. Also, I am sorry if this gets very loud. I can't really hear myself. Let's go. Also, that's also irritating me, so don't worry about that. Also, notice how shiny my screen is. I cleaned it with my mum's Specsavers glasses cleaner. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some cool stuff that I did and how I did it, and we're going to have some fun. So, first of all, what lays down, what's the main bit of this track is the acoustic, right? So let me show you or tell you a bit about how I did the acoustic. Well, it was this acoustic here, and I used two mics, and I also plugged it in. So that's why there's three tracks here. This is the acoustic bit here, right? I did a few things to it. So first of all, I've just panned them lightly, and then what's in the acoustic chain? So there's a bit of saturation, bit of gain, bit of exciter, nothing too exciting, and then they basically just go to a verb and a chorus. So what the chorus does is quite interesting. So a chorus as in an effect. Do you know what? I'll take you through the start. The start is quite cool. So what we have at the start is I've automated it, so you'll see what happens is we've got a gain plugin here. This plugin here is just on mono for this start bit. So it sounds really narrow, the sound, the acoustic. So like this. So that sound partly is coming from this gain plugin, which makes it mono, and then we've also got a bandpass filter on it. So we're taking out all the lows and highs and makes it sound like that. And then also these clicks and pops are coming from this sample down here. Now actually, interestingly, those clicks and pops are actually just a loose connection that I found in one of my samples. And then we've also got some river noise in the background here. That is just a river. That's what that is. I recorded it on my dad's phone when we were at a river, funnily enough, weirdly. So at the start, so we've got this acoustic bit. It's mono, and it's got the bandpass filter on it. So at this point, the bandpass gets automated. Does it get automated off? I think so. And so does this gain plugin. So they both get turned off. So now we've got the full frequency range, and it's in stereo, so that basically we hear this panning, whereas before we didn't. I'll show you that. So basically we go from that narrow sound, little gap, and then it opens out into that full acoustic sound, right? You can hear it, and it sounds good. Cool. So yeah, that's what happens there, and then you get that really nice sound because of all the effects on. Now this little trick, I'm going to show you this little trick, because any instrument that you really need a bit more of sparkle or like wants to sound a bit more stereo, I stuck a bus on it, right? So this bus here is going to another channel, which has first of all got an EQ on it. Now the EQ looks kind of like that. So basically what we've done is we've just cut out a lot of low mids and bass, like all of the low mids and bass. So we've just got high mids and highs up here, and then we've put a chorus on. And so what this bus on its own sounds like is this. So it's really subtle, you know, you wouldn't notice it, but actually just add something. I'll show you if I mute it. here, but it just adds an extra little dimension, and that's a trick that I really like using on especially guitar, acoustic and electric. I use that in Hard to Know actually. I use that trick. Don't you worry about me, I'm just turning the mic. So yeah, that's a really nice little trick that I do often. You don't really need the low frequencies if you're just going for that sparkly sound, so that's why I didn't put them in. That's why they're all filtered out. Okay, so I cried inside because interesting thing, the intro of this was actually longer than this. It actually went through this progression, that progression like twice when I play it live usually. So now we've got the vocals. Now what did I do to the vocals? Well, I'm glad you asked. So, I mean, the vocals, nothing special really. We've got a subtle noise gate, bit of compression. I used the vintage VCA compressor because it just added a bit of character to the vocals. And then the EQ, it's worth saying the acoustics are a really big sound because there's 3 different mics. It basically just creates a really big sound, so you don't want to. So I just chose a few frequencies that I wanted the vocals to resonate in, and then went with it. There's not really much more to it for the vocals, no. So the full first verse is basically that, guitar and vocals. I cried inside because... And yes, I did those vocals a lot of times. So many versions of this song, you would not believe. One of them had solid 100 tracks. Okay, so then we get to, in this little instrumental interlude, in this just little intermental interlude, we get these lovely synths. That's not how I remember them sounding. Why does it sound like that? That's so weird. I just swelled it up maybe, didn't I? Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Is that really what it sounds like? I don't remember it sounding like that. But let's hear it in the mix. That's just not... That is different. To be fair, Logic has updated since these. That is just not right. 70s synth strings. It was something kind of like that with probably a bit of a cut off. That's fairly similar. And then I just swelled it in, so... That's not what the song sounds like. As you probably know, the song does not sound like that. There's some little vocal ad-libs in there, which is worth saying as well. I didn't add as much saturation and excitement to the ad-libs, so they sit a bit more back in the mix. And then these sit back in the mix a bit more. And again, they're just bussed to a reverb, and that's what's getting that spacey sound. Oh, what I will say though is reverbs, are those even? Space Designer is a really good one, but the 4.4 second big plate, oh, it's really nice and natural. Like if I solo, I've lost my, oh, that's right, the reverb. So this vocal verb. It's too hard, I'm infected with those same doubts they're infesting. And yeah, it just sounds really, it sounds so good. Plate reverbs, I just like them. Okay, so next bit, the second verse, and electric guitar comes in. There's this little electric guitar line down here, so I'll let you hear it. I know I should have told you, didn't know. So this is your electric guitar. That's the electric guitar bit there. Now, what I did here is I find really interesting. So what it is it's actually DI guitar. So I just literally plugged it into the audio interface. And what I've got here is I've got a bass amp sim, and I've got a sub bass plugin, some saturation, some delay, some reverb. And then I actually added, this is really a mastering plugin, but I added it for some, it's got a really nice stereo imager, Ozone Elements, really nice stereo imager, so I just did that to make it sound nice and wide. Yeah. And I think it sounds really good, and I think if you can get, like, if you can learn how to get good sounds out of amp sims, then, so yeah, that's what I did with that. That also serves as the bass for pretty much the whole song. There is no bass guitar or bass synth. It's literally just this. Pretty cool, right? Right? Am I right? Pretty cool. I think it's cool. I didn't want it to sound like there was a bass guitar in there, but I also didn't like the sound of a synth bass in there or a sub pad or so I didn't. So I just was like, okay, well I can just use an electric guitar part, and yeah. Let me know if you want to learn that little part as well, because it's quite it's okay. Cool little part. Complements the acoustic quite nicely. So little harmonies, which are nice to point out here. You told me it's okay. So just the vocals sounds like understanding. You told me it's okay. And then just loads of reverb on those backing vocals, because it sounds cool. Then we get these are our bounced audio string synths of this one. So this is actually what it sounded like originally. So these come in again to add a bit of, I added back in the strings, synth strings I should say, they're synth strings, when it came to that little interlude instrumental break before the last double chorus. And again, it just adds a little level. So let's go from there. Realize you felt the same. So that's what it should have sounded like. You felt the same. Some ad libs as well. You sat by me in bed as I show what's on my head. And okay, so what we've also got going on here is we've got an electric piano. And that's basically doing similar to the electric guitar. Yes. And it just, yeah, again, there's some bass frequency in there, but it's not a bass, but it's contributing to filling out that sound a bit more. And yeah, that's cool. I don't know where I was going. I really don't know where I was going with that. Such an idiot. There's electric piano in it. Okay, so annoyingly, my camera is my phone. It's my phone. I'm filming on my phone, okay? It's my phone, okay? My phone ran out of storage. And I didn't see, so I was just chatting to myself, basically, is what I'm saying. For like 10 minutes, I was just chatting to myself. And we were just getting to the good bit. We were chatting about this electric piano. Noises. There's some bass frequency in there, but it's not a bass. Yeah, nice. Then we get to the real stuff, right? Comes in the second chorus. I was chatting for quite a while, wasn't I? First of all, we've got an alternative melody, vocal melody. The vocal melody changes a little bit here. Now I love you more instead. You sat by me in bed as I share what's on my... As you'll probably know if you've listened to the song, but what you might not know is that in the background there is the normal vocals. You sat by me in bed as I show what's on my head. You say I do. With the lead vocals, it sounds kind of like this. My heart seeps up my eyes. So it sounds kind of weird when you hear it isolated, but in the mix you don't really hear it. I bet you one last time. Wonder if it's the end, but now I love you more. Right? So it sounds decent. And then we've got some drum kit here. Now this is cool. This 70s synth strings is just the same. Noises. But this drum kit here, so we used Ultra Beat because it's actually quite decent, man. Kick, snap, rim shot. That's all there is. Those are 3 different samples, and the output for the snap and the snare is going through this channel, which has a reverb on it, but the kick does not. Right, so the kick's nice and dry, and then these have this reverb on it, which is a Space Designer reverb again called Space Reverb. But what I've done with this is I've just really shortened the envelope, so it sounds like a really big reverb, but then it just cuts off quite suddenly. So it does not last 2 seconds, because that would be ridiculous and would take too much space up and be just in the way. So I just shortened it a lot, and it just gives it a nice sort of gated sound, sort of, but gives it a fatness, but it's a bit longer than a gated reverb, you know. Yeah, so that's what's going on with the drums. Then we've got a shaker here. Oh, I'll just show you the drum, the beat. Man. Sounds like this. Sounds cool, right? Did you hear that elbow click? That was actually my elbow. That was weird. Noises. Yeah, and then also that, well, we'll come to the end bit later, but yeah, so there's some drums in there. There's also a shaker. Not much going on with the shaker. A stereo spreader. Without the spreader, it sounds kind of a bit bad. Just sounds like it's in the middle, because it was one channel. Just splits it up a little bit and makes it sound a bit wider. More synths. So this one, crystallized. Basically just more pads, more high up airy pads, and it just adds some more dimensions. It's similar to our 70s synth pad. I think it's the same note. Oh no, it's not the same notes. It is different notes, to be fair. Those are just two notes actually, just a tone apart. The root and the second. Really up high, and just yeah, it sounds cool. Then we've got these. I can't actually remember if these went in the final mix. Let's listen to them anyway. Basically it's just an arpeggiated, like analog sounding, it sounds a bit cringe on its own, right? But it's really low in the mix, so. And it actually sounds like a Stranger Things scene, doesn't it? It's like you can imagine them riding on their bikes to this. We're going to get Will back. Woo! But in the mix, actually, you barely hear it, and it just adds something. Bit of rhythm. You sat by me in bed, I share what's on my head. You can maybe really faintly hear it if you turn your headphones up really high and like the video. Tips. I really have no shame about self promo, so I don't even. I am asking you to like this video, because just do it. I'm sorry, that brought up some stuff. There's also the River Spey is in this bit as well. River noise again. Then we've also got some street noise. That is also my first year uni class, and that is also a sample we recorded week 1 or 2 of first year, and I nicked it because there was no copyright on. We were given use to use those samples. I don't want to say there's no copyright, because there might be, but we recorded them and used them for a project, and I was like, well, I'm gonna nick those for using later. Noises. That's what happens in the. There's really not as much to it as it kind of sounds like. It's what you do with it, you know. It's not size that matters, it's what you do with it. Yeah, so then that final chorus sounds a bit like this. You say I didn't know you as bad as this. And it sounds good, and then some nice vocal ad-libs. So love you more instead of love you more. And again, you can hear that those are not saturated and excited as much, so that they sit a bit back in the mix. They're a bit more warm toned. Yeah. I didn't really know what was going on, and I was just like, I kind of like that, so it sounds quite nice. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't sound as nice when you listen to it on its own. But it sounds good in the mix. Yeah. And then what was also, why can I not speak? What we've also got. I apologize for that. That was too far. What we've also got is a good bit of automation going on within these. Okay, there's no automation on that one. These synthy tracks, right? So this one's just fading out, but this one we've got a high cut going on, and that kind of just fades down, and it just takes it from the really spacey out sound and just closes it down slowly. So. Just a really slow high cut there. Then we get this sample down here comes in. So this is actually from a video, random meet up with like some school friends. I don't even know when it was. It was after we'd all left school and we were just meeting up one summer, I think. It's just the audio from that with some reverb and editing. So it just fades in there. Right, so you can hear me in there and just people chatting and stuff. And then also we've got the clicks and pops coming back in. And then it's basically just fading out. So the master track is just fading out there. So that's just taking everything down in volume. I basically just wanted to bring out this. There's a little line where Big Dan Don, shout out to Dan Don, says Sam stop. And I just thought that was quite cool because I was just taking the piss and filming them. And funnily enough, look where it's got me. Look where it's. Don't you feel foolish now, Daniel, if you're watching this? Yeah, he just goes right, and then people laugh because it's funny. Ha ha ha! Good one, Dan. Noises. I just wanted that louder because I thought it was kind of cool, especially at the end of the song. It's like Sam stop, and then it finishes like a few bars later. Still kind of, you can still, is this mic still on? Yeah, it is. Is it? Oh, I'm being such an idiot. It's because one of those flying things in Star Wars. Yeah, you can still hear the sample kind of fading out there at the end. Absolutely soaking wet in reverb, and that is how I did it. That's how I done it. Let's finish with some tips and tricks. Things that I do lots. Boost around 2K on my vocals because it makes them stick out a little bit. Well, it's more like 3.5, 4K in this one actually. Saturation plugin. What's it called? It's called Softtube Saturation. It's called like Softtube 1 knob or something. Sounds quite nice. Exciters. I use a lot of exciters. Makes things sound a bit more analog because you add those harmonics in. That's kind of what the saturation does as well. And so those are your tips, and happy days. I think that concludes it. Really, I do think that concludes it. I've had fun showing you. Hope you've had fun having a look and insight into me, into my brain, my thinking, my process. Yeah, thanks for watching. Check out the song. Worth saying as well, all the royalties for this song are going to Color for Change. They get money from Spotify the more you listen to the song, so go and do that. Add it to your playlists and stuff. Like and sub. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's so cringe. I can't believe I even went to do that. I overreacted. I know. I'm sorry. What do people say at the end of videos? Thanks, Matt. Thanks for watching. Thank you. No, genuinely, thank you for if you've got this far. Noises. Namaste. This is gonna be a horrible video to edit. Video over. You sat by me in bed. I share what's on my head. You say I didn't know you as bad as this before. My heart seeps up my eyes.